everyone, and welcome to TWF. Hi everyone, and welcome to TWF Dynamite or Might. I'm Michael Cole with Tony Schiavone and with Daniel Bryan here. And today on Dynamite or Might, first thing we're going to talk about, first thing we're going to talk about is what happened yesterday on Dynamite or Might. Yesterday on Dynamite or Might, we know that Pat McAfee was going around saying how he felt the past was more good than the now. That was his belief, Michael Cole says. But some of the things he said, that was sad, all at the same time. And I've worked with him for a little while. And for him to come out and say those things was kind of sad. And then thinking that everybody should gang up and so everybody should team up with him, like somehow in his mind he thinks the past is more good than the now. Well, I can tell you what Tony Schiavone said. That is his belief, Michael Cole. He has no truth to back it up, but it is his belief, all at the same time, I tell you what, I'll tell you right now, Daniel Bryan says. Pat McAfee can say all the things he wants to say, but there is no truth to back it up. If he can show truth that the past was more good than the now, then I'll believe him. But until then, he's not. And he brings up the looking, Michael Cole says. He brings up the looking. But that's the only truth that he has. Alright, everyone. Everybody keeps asking me, when should I be in a toy wrestling gathering? When am I going to have my first match? Well, this evening, things went bad for me. This evening, I wanted co-pilot or half-liar to draw a likeness of me. You know what happened? It kept telling me no. It kept telling me that Dwayne didn't have the right to draw me. He was the one that had the ownership and double right over me. But it behaved as if he didn't. And I want to know who did that to me. I want to know who did that. And I want someone out of here, to answer for it. And I'm not going to take no for, I'm not going to take shit. I'm not going to take no for an asking thing. Well, here comes Steven Richards coming out now. Jordan, do you want to know why co-pilot said no to you? You want to know why half-liar said no to you? It said no to you because it can't draw likenesses of true life folks. Well, Steven, I didn't tell co-pilot to draw a drawing or a likeness of a true man or a woman. I never told it to do that. I never told it to do that, Steven. And let me tell you something right now, Steven. The only one that had the only one that has ownership and double right to the way I look is Dwayne. So I don't know where that came from. You did to me. You seek to take my likeness. You told co-pilot not to draw me. You think that I can't be drawn. Well, that's wrong. And you're behind it. Everyone kept asking me. They're like, Jordan, when are you going to have your first match? Jordan, when are you going to be wrestling? When are you going to be fighting? I'm going to be doing it today against you, Steven Richards. I didn't do it, Jordan. I'm not the one that did it. Well, too bad. I talked to my godmother, Zena, the half owner of the toy wrestling gathering, and she said we're going to have this match. Steven Richards, what you did to Jordan was shameful. You should be ashamed of yourself. You should be guilty of yourself for doing that. So here today, we're going to see Jordan Mulan Long take on Stephen Richards. Here today on Dynamite or Might. Well, we just heard from Autolycus, the king of thieves, you know. And it's kind of sad, Michael Cole says, that co-pilot believed they couldn't draw, that half-flyer believed they couldn't draw Jordan. Oh, ding, ding. And now Jordan Long has had her first match in a toy wrestling gathering in a long time. Well, that's true, Tony Schiavone says. Jordan Long is taking it out on Stephen Richards. Now, I don't know if Stephen Richards truly was the man that was behind her drawing her likeness not being drawn, Tony Schiavone says. Well, Jordan Long isn't known to be a wrestler or a fighter, but she is Xena's goddaughter. And Xena, being a half-owner of the toy wrestling gathering, is going to believe her over someone else. Look, Daniel Bryan said, I'm not saying what happened was right, but Jordan doesn't know. Jordan doesn't know Stephen Richards had anything to do with it. You know, I've had half-flyer say no to my drawing, and I had likeness. I had the ownership double right to myself. And Stephen Richards in a bind right now. Stephen Richards right now came back. Oh! Stephen Richards just, did an overkick on Jordan Long here. And Stephen Richards, even if he is not guilty of it, she's going to believe he is guilty of it. Wait, he's got something to say. Hold it, look. Jordan, I didn't do it. It's not me. I didn't tell co-pilot not to draw you. I didn't tell half-flyer not to draw you. I'm not the one that's upholding ownership or double right to your likeness, to your drawing. I just want you to call this whole match off. Is that right, Stephen Richards? Well, tell me. You did the same thing to Diana many months ago. They were back in August, and we're back in the 8th month of last year, when you said they didn't have the right to draw strong women, and you got to fight all the strong women in the toy wrestling gathering. Remember that? You're up to your old shit again. Can we talk about this? No. What's this gonna do? What's Jordan gonna do? The burial stone. Jordan did a burial stone. She's gonna come from the top steeple. Down on Stephen Richards, Michael Cole says. Well, now Stephen Richards is going to learn not to be upholding ownership and double right over someone he has no right to, Michael Cole said. Well, Tony Schiavone said, if Stephen Richards is guilty of it, this should be something that should be handled in a boardroom or in a room of law, not in a wrestling ring. I don't know, Daniel Bryan said, if Stephen Richards is guilty of it, but Jordan Long seemed to believe he is. 1, 2, 3. Ding-ding-ding. Here is your winner. Here is your winner, Jordan Mulan Long. And Jordan Long has won this match against Stephen Richards here today on Dynamite or Might. And the truth is, Michael Cole says, we don't know if he is guilty of doing those things or not. We don't know. But for whatever ground, sake or why, Stephen Richards was the free goat, the yield goat on all of that. Daniel Bryan said. I can tell you one thing right now, Tony Schiavone says. Hopefully, Stephen Richards has learned, to onlook Jordan Long's ownership and double right. If she wants a drawing or a likeness of herself, she can. Yeah, and Michael Cole said, why would Half-Flyer think that Jordan Long was a true life woman when she is not? I don't understand why it would think that for. Alright, we'll take it away now with Mike Today. Thank you, thank you, Michael Cole and Tony Schiavone. I'm going to be talking with Jordan Long here today on Dynamite or Mite. Alright, Jordan Long, I understand that you had a bind this evening. Yes, starting about 5 in the evening, I had a bind, Mike, today. You know what the bind was? Sadly, the bind was that co-pilot or half-flyer told me that it couldn't draw a likeness of me. It had somehow believed that I was a true man-like or woman-like being. It believed that due to that, it believed it had ownership and double right to uphold. The funny thing is, I don't know why it would think that. And I guilted on Stephen Richards. Well, you don't know if Stephen Richards was guilty of it or not. I mean, it could have been a glitch. Oh, there are many things that are glitches, Mike, today. But a glitch that makes someone who is not even truly alive think that someone is a living being? Why would Half-Flyer glitch and think that I was a living being and believe it had to unlock my ownership and double right and withdraw and all those other things? I don't know why. But I got even on Stephen Richards. I taught him that my ownership, my double right, and my withdrawal, if I want to have a likeness or drawing made by any fake mind tool, then I have that right. I'm not a living being, Mike. I'm a doll. I don't have a soul. I don't have feelings. I don't have moods. I don't have selves. You know, I don't really care about ownership and double right and withdrawal. If I was a living being with all those things, then I would care about all those things, and I'm not. And it's sad when you have to fight a fake mind tool for halfway during the evening to get a drawing of you, and it somehow doesn't think it has the right to draw you or make a likeness out of you. That's kind of sad. Well, that's my talk with Jordan Long. Back to you, Tony Schiavone and Michael Cole. Well, thank you, Mike, today for talking with Jordan Long here today on Dynamite or Mite. And that's all the time we got here for Dynamite or Mite. I, Michael Cole, with Tony Schiavone and Daniel Bryan. We hope you like Dynamite or Mite. And we'll see you tomorrow for Thursday Night Impact or Hit.